changed our surroundings. We've gone from the snowy, icy Colorado Rockies to the beautiful, sunny Southern California beaches. We want to take the weekly Rhemas going forward from now for a little while into a topic called the end times. If you're like me, I grew up in a church where that's all the preachers would talk about all the time. Is every time something fantastic or unusual would happen in the world, they would say, we are in the end times. And so that actually caused me as a child to start studying the Bible. And without any formal training, I would read things like the book of Revelation. I would say, wow, there's this person called the Antichrist that is going to control all of the world's commerce someday. And people will be taking marks on their bodies and things like that. And I would say, wow, it doesn't seem like we're in the end times, because back then the personal computer hadn't even been developed yet. And so the idea of somebody controlling all of the world's commerce didn't seem right to me. Didn't seem like we were close to that happening. And when it came to marks on your bodies, the only people that even had tattoos back in those days were servicemen and bikers, basically. And so, but today that stigma's kind of gone. So it makes you wonder, can we say, like a lot of people are saying right now, the coronavirus, look at the coronavirus, this is a sign of the end times. So some of you know that my brother and I wrote a book called Climax AD 2026. And we want to take a look at a centuries old view called the 7 Millennial Day View, talking about when is the end times. Is it possible? Is there something to this? So we want to take an in-depth biblical look at this, and my brother and I are going to be doing videos through the 2021 talking about this. So I'm looking forward to us having some good discussions, and hopefully it'll cause us all to dig into the Bible and to say, do we need to see the times and the seasons, and are we ready for the return of Christ?
I really believe it that I was able to co-author a book with my brother, Pastor Gary Overholt, and to introduce it to you today. That book, it's called Climax 2026. The purpose of the book is to talk about an old viewpoint that came about in the early 2nd century, and I think it was popularized during the Holiness movement in the 1800s. We will look at that and explore that as one of the primary reasons that the book was written. The other reason, I think more importantly, and an important secondary reason, is basically just to say to Christians everywhere, be ready, the return of our Lord Jesus Christ is coming, and it's coming very soon. And we're not writing a book, it's not a book about modern day prophecy where we're giving you times and dates and outliers and all sorts of things like that. It's just to say that we as Christians, we need to be ready. God is coming, and He's coming very soon. And so, I love to quote C.S. Lewis, who was a great theologian, author, philosopher, Christian apologist. One of the things that he said was, aim at heaven and get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you get neither. Wow. So I think that's what he's telling us as Christians is that, you know what, we need to be reminded that this isn't our home. We are not made for this earth any longer. Christ came so that He would grace us with His presence. And when God called Abraham in Genesis 15, he was called a sojourner. Later on, even in the New Testament, the Apostle Peter will say to the New Testament church, to the believers that are there, he's telling them that, hey, you are sojourners, you are exiles. And that's exactly what we are. We are sojourners and exiles on this earth. Our mission is to proclaim the excellencies of a Christ who has called us out of darkness into His marvelous light. We're supposed to proclaim the excellencies of the gospel of Jesus Christ to the whole world. And I think we get sidetracked sometimes because living here in America, we've had everything at our fingertips. God has blessed this nation, and we've been able to live in luxury in many ways that many other countries have not been able to do. And so just like that parable of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25, where the Lord talks about that these bridesmaids actually slept. They were complacent enough to sleep. And He warns them at the end that even though they knock on the door and want to get into that marriage supper, they're not able to. Okay, and the reason being is that they were not ready. The Lord tells them to be watchful, for you know not the day nor the hour. So I think that what C.S. Lewis has to say is apropos for today. We must be ready to proclaim the excellencies of the gospel of Jesus Christ, who has graced us with his presence, and one day we will be in his presence for eternity.
We gotta shine.